Come on. Focus. Focus. There we go. Hi, I'm Danny, and again, I'm back with my schedule. You know, these videos are gonna pop up randomly, not every week like I've been trying to do. Actually filming this a little ahead of time. This is the very last week of May. Normally I would film this in like the first week of June, but I decided to film this a little ahead of time. Hopefully I can get it up by June 1st. Hopefully. Here's hoping. So I've got the books I read. So I read all these lovely books this month. Sorry if the lighting keeps changing. I have to switch my light because my little portable light keeps dying. So let's start with the books I read in April, I guess. So in April, first I reread The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh, and then I concluded it with The Rose and the Dagger. I reread The Wrath and the Dawn to kind of refresh my memory so that I could read The Rose and the Dagger. I planned to read this like as soon as it came out, but for some reason I just kept putting it off, and it was fantastic. So much better than I thought it would be, and I enjoyed it so much more. I think the first time around I gave this one a 4-star. I think I gave it a 3-star this time around, and this one I definitely gave a 4-star. I can't wait to see what else she's gonna come out with, any retellings or just any stories period, because I absolutely love these two. And if you have not read them, this is a retelling of 1001 Nights or 1001 Arabian Nights. I can't remember the name of the original story. It is about a king who takes a different bride every night, and by the next dawn she is dead. And in this story, a girl who volunteers after her friend was the king's previous bride and he killed her. She volunteers to be his bride, planning to kill the king, and instead they end up falling for each other. And to keep him from killing her, she tells him a different story every night, or stops at a certain point as soon as the dawn starts to break, so that he wants to hear the rest of the story so he cannot kill her. And by the time her stories are done, he just can't bring himself to, because he started to fall for her. And then this is the sequel to it, and I definitely recommend it. If you read this and were completely sold on it, I definitely recommend you read this, because it is so much better. You get to see so much more of the world and the magic, and it's just, you gotta read it. At the end of April, to prepare for a book that you'll see later on, I reread this entire series so that I could read the newest book that was coming out in May, and that is A Quart of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, one of my favorite author. No matter what she writes, I think I will read it because I love absolutely everything. I started off with Throne of Glass, and I was hesitant when I got into the series, thinking, because I've had authors where I love their first series absolutely, and then when it comes to their next series, I'm like, ugh. This one I loved. I wasn't completely sold on this book. I loved it at the time, but there was just something just iffy. I just couldn't place my finger on it until the second book, which I realized what was bugging me so much about the first book. And I'll get to that when I get to the next book. And then I read A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas, a beast of a book, I gotta say. I didn't realize, I mean, when I think about it in my head, it seems so short. I finally realized what in this book was bugging me about the first book. It was so subtle, and since you're in Favor's mind, you don't quite see it. But when I read this one, it slapped me in the face. I was like, duh, how could I have missed it? And so it covers, so this starts right after the first book, like about 6 months after the first book. Favor's dealing with everything that happened to her towards the end of the last book, and you get to see, it covers PTSD, abusive relationships, and helping Favor heal, and all this other stuff, and it is absolutely fantastic. And I liked Reese in the first book. I mean, I was mad about the fairy wine. Even now to this day, I'm still kind of, you know, but I understand why he did it now, but I'm still kind of about it. But I love Reese so much now, and yeah, I love it. I know some people, I don't know how, are still Tamlin and Favor shippers. I don't see how, especially after this book. I just don't see it, but I absolutely loved it. So I gave this one, I think the first time around I gave this a 5-star rating. I think this time I gave it more of a 3.9, almost a 4-star, but not quite there. And this one I gave a 5-star rating. Again, I still absolutely loved it. I think this is my 3rd time reading it. Yes, this is my 3rd time reading it and loved it. Absolutely loved it. Although, if you count the parts where I just go back and kind of read my favorite moments, this is probably like my 10th time reading it. But fully, just reading it from front to back, this is probably my 3rd time, yes. And I still had a little time before, I had a few days before the next book, which was like one of my most anticipated books for the year coming out. So to give myself something to do in between that, I decided to pick up this book. This book was kind of a I'll give it a try kind of thing. I didn't think I would like it. I mean, I thought I would like it, but I didn't think I would like it as much as I did. And that is, what's this? I don't know where that came from. And that is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Macauso. I think that's how you pronounce her name. This takes place in 1893, 18 something, 1888. Okay, so this takes place in 1888, and this follows a girl named Aubrey who is everything a Victorian lady should be, except she has a fascination with forensic science and autopsies and cadavers, and she starts helping her uncle, who is a forensic scientist, starts helping him stalk Jack the Ripper, trying to find out who the Jack the Ripper is, why he's doing these things to these bodies. And I did not expect it. Like, the person it turned out to be, I suspected for like so brief of a moment. And then I just said, nah, it can't be him. It was him. I was so sure it was going to be the other crazy person, but it was him. The one person I did not suspect. Well, I suspected him. Just for like, I was like, it could be. I'm like, no, it can't be him. It just can't be. And I feel so silly for dismissing him so quickly. This book not only is chilling and thrilling, and it has its romantic parts, but the romance definitely takes a backseat to all the science and the gore and the horror, but it's definitely there to give you just a little perk up. And I absolutely love, oh god, what is Thomas Criswell? I absolutely love Thomas, and the next book I've already set a pre-order for, and it is Hunting Prince Dracula, and I'm absolutely positively looking forward to that. But anyway, I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. Absolutely fantastic. I definitely recommend it. If you've seen it and you're not quite sure if you want to read it, try the audiobook, because that's how I got through a lot of it. I mean, not that I got through a lot of it. I left this at home and then I went on a trip, but luckily I had the audiobook on my iPod, so I just listened to it, and absolutely fantastic. And once I got home, I started marking all my favorite parts. And since it's so short, you'll probably breeze, depending on how fast you read, you could breeze right through this like I did. I think this only took me 2 days. 2 days? 3 days? This took me 3 days, but I was constantly having to take my iPod off. And yeah, so a lot of my time was spent either in the car or on or when I was just kind of doing nothing. But I absolutely loved it, and I definitely recommend this. Even if you've never tried horror before, this isn't, I mean, it's definitely, the whole book is surrounding horror, but it's not heavy on the science stuff. It's absolutely stuff you would understand. I mean, the things they talk about are things that we cleared up decades ago. Something you would learn in like beginner science. That's pretty much what this stuff is. So you definitely can understand it. It's not complicated at all. And then finally is the book I waited, well, not all of May, because it came out in the beginning of May, but it felt like I had waited all of May. And that is A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. Absolutely love this. It was everything I wanted, although there were some things, especially some scenes I was hoping would happen that didn't happen, like the wall scene. We never got our wall scene, and if we did, I must have not, either I completely missed it or I just don't remember it. But God, this thing is heavy. This thing is heavier. Look how small it is. Okay, look at this. This is lighter than this. That just tells you how packed this thing is. And just like her last book of Empire of Storms, it's like Bible pages. So I absolutely love this. It was a wonderful, fantastic story that had me tearing up at certain parts and absolutely bawling by the end of it. Absolutely fantastic. Sarah is a genius, and while this is the end of the series from Feyre's point of view, there will be more novellas from Sarah in the future from this world. But when I say novellas, because the next book in the Throne of Glass series was supposed to be a novella, and it turns out to be 700 pages. So yeah, that's Sarah's idea of a novella. That means all the books in this series are novellas. Oh, but I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely fantastic. So much happened. So many things I did not expect and was not prepared for. Absolutely amazing. I will see you guys next time.